And for the first chapter, that you will see that we will understanding this network. We will also know different types of the relations that has been produced from the network. We will also understand the purposes of doing this analysis for the social network. And you will also understand some of the statistics, terminologies in statistics, such as variables. And I think that the variables are like all of the factors that will influencing the changes of the network structure and also other things. And we will tell you that more in details. And we will also give you a lot of concepts about when you see different kinds of the variables and also producing different kinds of the outcomes, how did you explain that? And so we will have some of the questions that listed here. And if you go to the student resources website that I just mentioned to you, you will see the answers for those exercises. So you will find that it's easy to comprehend the very first chapter for this course. So these are the learning outcomes that you will get from the very first chapter. You will know all of the details about how the social networks are constituted and also how they produced. And you will also see the differences, kind of different types of the relations. I prefer to say relations instead of the ties because the relations matters. Okay. Without relations, you can still do the analysis, but the relations matters. That makes the social network so fascinating when you do the analysis. Okay. And you could also see the variables again, and with the different kinds of the problems. So the very beginning, why we wanted to do this, to analyzing the social network. And the first point is because we wanted, if I wanted to analyze the social network, I mean, in this classroom, as I said, also easy, like everybody as a person, you're sitting in that desk, and then you were right in front of me, and I could see a pattern of this network. So far, not many people, they are friends or they are not knowing each other. So, I mean, I see the patterns. I see that how you relate with each other. By looking at it, I could start doing the analysis, right? So if you wanted to do the analysis for the social network, you can do so because I wanted to know exactly how the people or how the different units, they interact with each other. So as long as you want to do the analysis, we'll say, I want to do a little study, then you can do so. So that's the very beginning. But actually, you can see that a lot of different things that are happening right now, and that all different kinds of the network structures that you could observe. If you pay attention carefully to observe those networks and those events that are happening around you, you will find there are different patterns that's going on. They are changing, and they are changing differently. So different. For example, how the nations, their relation, how different countries, they relate with each other, changing so differently. With some of the special, the events that occurred. For example, if you see that the president visited one country or not going to the other country, then you will see that the pattern change. The social network, the people interact with each other, country, they related with each other, but they changed all of the differences in the structure and also the relations. You will see the very tiny little things that in your environment, in your place. Like for example, you are staying in a dorm, and the school assign you to stay with someone. You have a roommate, or you do not have a roommate, but you have neighbors. Then how you relate with your neighbors? And they are in the same department with you, or they are in the same club with you, or they are the same biological gender with you, or they have the same hobbies with you, and they go to the same restaurant for the breakfast, or they go to the same places in the library. So all of these, if you carefully observe, you'll find it's very interesting to see all of the different patterns in the social network and how you relate with others. So you will find a lot of studies topic that you could explore. If you really have some interesting topic that you wanted to explore, you can start from now. We do have some students, they are very interested to know that her boyfriend with her, how they related with each other. And then she really did a very careful study with that relations. And then he found very interesting finding. But it is only a partial findings I wanted to remind you. The partial finding that you will find. It's possible for you to explore all of your friends or your relatives or your teachers or your classmates, how they really related to you. Your social network, that when you do the analysis, only the partial images that you could get. But that kind of observation will give you very exciting insights, and you wanted to dig further, and you wanted to see more details, because the partial outcome of the analysis is not the total or the whole situation that presented in front of you. So if you find something that's not right, it's not from your expectations, you do not need to be so worried or so concerned, because all the analysis results are only the partial results. You couldn't really get all of your relations with your friends or with your relatives. So it's just a partial or temporary, because over time, I mentioned, over time that the network structure will get changed. So this means that you will see that after a while that your pattern change, your structure change. So that moment when you find the analysis results from your social network, that's just a partial result. That is just a temporary partial result that you could get. Okay? Okay, then we will also need to looking at some of the statistics that you will apply to the network theories. We don't need to know much about the theory. Also, as long as that you comprehend the concept, but the concepts come from the theory. The theory come from a lot of the research, their works, the scholarly works. And they have some hypotheses, and they verify those hypotheses, and then finally they develop the theory. And from the theory, they apply them into the statistics, and then using the graphics to show you how the network they relate, how the network, the structures, it looks like. So you can analyze it in an individual level. You could also analyze it in a group level. For the individual level, it's very interesting. Start from one person, just one person, or we can say one actor or not. Not necessary to be an active agent though. Means that you don't need to start from analyzing one person. You could start from one table, one chair, non-living things. As long as you find it interesting, you could also start from analyzing one animal, and then to see how one individual animal or event or units, organizations, a person relate to others. You could also analyze at group level for one class, this classroom, related to other classroom, and how other classrooms related to other group of teachers, another group of the students, another group of the students in different departments. One department can also represent one group, that you could also get down to one level, one individual level. All right, so every actor or not, they will be in different positions, and they have different characteristics. They have different attributes, properties that you could analyze it. And so when you started to do the analysis, you have to start setting up your analysis starting point, your baseline. How different types of the people or the groups that I'm going to do the analysis, and the data I collected has to be the same. I collect your scores from this department. I also need to collect the scores from that department. So the analysis will also help you to think about what positions of this actor or the not they relate with each other or to others. Okay, so 2 links for you so that you could get more understanding to this content and also know why it's matter to do the analysis for the social network. So what exactly the social networks? And these sections will tell you these details. Okay, so the first one is, like I said, relations matter. Okay, relations matter. So if relations matter, here says that we were looking at the chains or paths of knots and the links. So the knots or the actors that I mentioned in the previous slides, it could be an individual, it could be a non-living things, but organization, the units, or anything that you wanted to consider as one knot or one actor. Okay, just one person, one group of the students. And we were also looking at those knots, how they link with each other. When I say link, here means that when I talk to you, I talk to you. Okay, I talk to you. So I, as a knot, talk to you as a knot. So there are two knots, one link. But since I talk to you once, that we count one link. Then you reply back to me. So your reply back, that's another link. So how many links now? Two links. Two knots, two links, right? Since only two people, we will think it's easy to calculate. But how about we have like 100 of the knots? How many links that you will be able to get? It's hard to count. We relied on the software to count. The software will help us to count. And also the software will count the direction of the link. The direction of links means someone talked to the other, but the other person not necessary to reply back. It is not double directions because the other person doesn't want to talk with the other persons, but one person is important. So he has to make announcement to everybody. So he makes a lot of links to other knots. So it means that we were looking at the paths of the knots and the links. We were also looking at a lot of the different variables, different factors that influence numbers of the knots join the group or leave the group, or numbers of the links that they make, a lot of links or less link. Some people, they do not talk. Can you count? Yes, you still need to count how many knots do not talk. They are like a singleton. They are just right there in somewhere in the border or maybe in the middle, but still not talking. Well, not necessarily in the border or not necessarily in the center, but we still wanted to see those patterns. We want to see how those structures changes over time or in a specific event or a series of the events. There are a lot of different events and want to see how those changes. Some connected, some are not. It's like a web. We all have experiences using website, the web browser. When you go to a web browser and you open up a website, the website, one page can count as a knot, right? And then you will visit another website because through the hyperlink, you will link from one page to another. Then you have two knots because you link there. Will you go back to your previous page? Maybe not. That hurts your business. Why? You want the visiting back to your website to do the purchasing. If your website bring them out of your website, they are out. They go other places. They go over different places. Will they remember your website better? Maybe not. If your website is not attractive enough for them, then they will not stay. They will just, if the information is not sufficient for them or not accurate to them, they will left. They will just leave your website and they go to other places through searching or through hyperlinks. Okay, so the connected web help us to understand that how the pattern will change so easily, so quickly. And we will also see some knots. They are very interesting. Without that knot, you could have never reached that important person. He or she is like a gatekeeper. Through that knot, he can reach some other different resources. Maybe that person is using like a very utilitarian person, very, very usage other people, take advantages of other resources. But those common knots, they are quite important in your social network. How come that you will be able to enter a community? Because you are granted to enter a community, right? You are granted. Some community allow you to participate for free. You can just open and just go in. That's it. But some communities, they have to grant you a permission to go in. So that person is important. You could analyze that important person. Or you could analyze that person you think important, but actually not. That's happening to some of the manager. They think that they are in the positions and they are very important, but actually you could see that little parties playing in the business, and they are do something and they want to, they wanted to go on the strike, and so they have some little meetings together in a smaller private space, and then so they have to work on something. The social movements that's happening is exactly that kind of the things that are happening right now. So those common knot, you could kind of find out who is the common knot. Without that common knot, the whole structure will be collapsed, totally destructed. Do you know that how it will be destructed? For example, if the course like, for example, this course, we couldn't offer to the students, so we will no longer have this class. Then it's the network that I just analyzed it for the students, like the patterns different from the first session of the class to the second session of the class, right? It's different. You could observe by just watching and viewing all of the interactions among your classmates, right? But I mean, if we do not offer this course, the entire structures will collapse. We no longer be able to see or to analyze the social network. So you have to really concern about the common knot. But the common knot, how they relate to others, matters. Can you imagine just one common knot have only one link, and a link to the persons? And then the persons is like a representative of the common knot to others. So who is the common knot now? It becomes that representative, no longer that manager. The manager only talk to one person. We call the representative, the speak person, right? The president also have that kind of the speak person, the spokesman or woman. And then so all of the people could interact with that spokesman or woman, the representative. So that person seems very important, the common knot, linked to all our different places. Not necessarily the people having a higher positions in a company or in a university. Okay, so the common knot, how the common knot related to each other. And that's also related to another concept. You will see that concept we call ego. The ego, the concept of the ego. Because that person seems very important. So I wanted to analyze that person and to see how they link with each other. Then we will center that person, put that person in a center, and then to do a lot of different analysis, including the person's neighbors. The neighbors means that the knot right next to that knot, the person right next to, for example, this student's next to you, and so you are the center, and then he will become your neighbor. So right next to the knot. In other words, if there's one link to that knot, so that knot is your neighbor. Okay, and then you are a neighbor. If you were a neighbor, and then the neighbor have a neighbor, right? Neighbor has a neighbor. And then so that neighbors could link to the common knot because of you. They can reach you because of the neighbors knows you, and then you know that common knot. So this kind of a relation is really complicated. And so how the ego relate to their neighbors, you may also find that some egos is actually not so important. Usually we will see ourselves as an ego. So since we know how to do the analysis, we know our network, we have the connection, we know how we link to others. So we will start from us, from myself, and then start to looking at how am I related to others, right? And then I will find that, oh, I'm not that so important. Yeah, that's possible, very likely. Yeah, but don't be so sad or don't be so concerned. You only get a partial images of your analysis result. Okay, every analysis result, the published paper in the social network, the journal of social network, is also the partial results that you could get. Okay. So you will see the connected web, but you will also see the web not connected. That still counts as a social network. If you see a lot of knots right there, without the link, these are all the knots. Without the link, it still counts. Social network still counts, but no link. Then you have to report it. There's no link. They do not talk. They don't have any interactions. Some animals, they do that. Some people, they like to stay away from people. They like to do that. So this still called the network, but you have to explain. You have to explain why that happened. Why does it occur? How could it become like this, right? If this is a very intensive class, then we will also concerned that I will be very concerned if the classmates do not really hang out with others, or they do not really have any group project that I could see. I will be very concerned, because if the class is an intensive class, you should start working, you should start to get together and then to start working on the project and to start to talk and discuss, right? So, yeah. So connected web counts as a network. Non-connected web also counts as a network. We have to find the important person, especially how it's important person or units. Non-living thing, but a unit, the organization or an institute or anything, an event. An event can also count as a knot, and to see how the knot interact with the others. Now we also need to looking at the relations, because relations matter. So all of the statistical analysis will be done by the relations. So I just mentioned one example. I talked to you. So 2 knots, 1 link, just one, because only one interaction is from me to you. That's one. If you reply back to me, the statistics will come out to be so different, because we will count the number 2 links. So the numbers will get changed from 1 to 2. When you analyze the numbers that from 1 link to 2, the whole statistical results will totally get changed, including when you wanted to count the mean value, the standard deviation. All of these are statistical terminologies, right? And also the variance of the maximums, the minimum number. All of these statistical numbers will get changed. The values will get changed. Just simply change one node, or simply change one link, increasing one link, or you delimited one link. Can you imagine that? You have already a lot of links right there. Among all of these nodes, there are a lot of links. And suddenly you decided to delete one link. What happened? You will see that someone become like minorities, right? They are not linked to the center. If this is the center, and these 2 nodes will be isolated, it's really, really unbelievable. This kind of thing happen. And then you get connected. For example, if you decided not to link to this ones, but you link to this ones, and then you decide to link back, are there a real link in this network? No. You manipulate it. We are afraid that you manipulate the links. So you will see some of the information, we call disinformation, on the social network. Some people say that he has done something and he has not done something. All of these, you're not sure how exactly the nodes they interact with each other. You're not in the first scene, the first site of the events. So you do not observe. As a researcher, we were trying to be very, very integral to do everything. So make sure that all of the links that you collect are from the real data. Okay. So concern about this type, because it will relate it to your statistical result. So do not manipulate the data. If there's no link, then there's no link. Like when we are analyzing the people, how many people get confirmed the cases, the COVID, they get confirmed. Then we will have to count each one of the number, collect their demographic data. I mean, at that time, that demographic data are available on the web. So we could, collect all of these data one by one. And then we have a first wave of the confirmed case. We have the second wave of the confirmed case. We have to collect the data one by one, because we wanted to make sure that all of the data, that the links that we get, for example, one person get infected by another person, and then also further affected other person. So this is the links that we wanted to trace. You want to trace how these people get contaminated by the COVID, and how this person confirmed case affect others, and how they link from one places to another in what kind of events. You have to report that, and you have to dip into it and to do the research, and then to really, really be honest to your data. Okay, if your data are so dirty, I mean, it's ugly dirty. For example, some data are not necessary, some data are not real. You have to give it up. You do not want to use those data. We don't want the data that are made up by somebody or made up by the AI, because they are not real. Can you imagine all of the world is filled with all data but not real? We call the replicated data. That's unreal data. And what if that not real data, the fake data, enter your database and become another machine learning model? Everything is not real. And then the human beings, the next generations, will all be formulated. I will say that. It's horrible. Like, I give you a standard answers for that, and then so that is the answer only. But you don't know actually that the database are already not real data, fake data. So we are trying to generate the data, or to find the data that's from the real site. If you are looking at the data from the secondary sources, then you also have to be very concerned about how did you get that resources from the secondary sources, the data from the secondary sources. You have to very, very consider where did you get the data source. So I will ask you to go to the open data set and then to give me the links, so I could confirm that the data sets are very, we will say, legitimate. The legitimate means that they are legally collected, they have following the procedures, and they have been tested by some researcher and from the high-rank organization, high-rank institutes. And then so those database that you could use. Then you could also personally collect the data with the honesty, with integrity. Okay, you have to be very, very honest to your data. Okay, so that's very matters to when you are analyzing the relations, because that matters a lot to your data, the analysis resource. The one data value changes, all statistical result will get changes. Okay, so that's the first point when we are considering about analyzing the social network. These are a lot of the important points right there. The second point about when the network structure gets changes, and the changes is so much easy to find the changes when the time goes on, when the time goes by. And then some longitudinal studies sometimes last for like 10 or 20 years. So the researchers spend their entire life to analyzing the similar group of the nodes, the similar group of the research participants, and then they are looking at different factors, and then to see how their network connections or network structure get changes. So you could also thinking about how your relations with others, different people, how they get changes over time. When you are in the elementary school, when you are in the middle school, in the high school, colleges. So that's why the students of mine, that she's really interested about that, how her relation with her boyfriend, because they know each other in the high school. Now they all in the graduate school, and they wanted to know how they relate with each other. So that is the over time that you see the structure change. When the structure change, that's really important, because we have to know which factor is critical to make that change. You have to find out the critical factor. It's because of the finance issue, so that the structure get changed, the people left the community. If that is not a financial issue, then is that a power issue that you do not believe that authority? So you decided to leave. Or is that because of the resources inequivalent? The resources is very imbalanced when they share the resources in the community, and you find some injustice, and so you will find that imbalance. You find the structures get changed, and then if you find that, you have to report it, but carefully to report the results. If you find something changes, especially the network structure changes tremendously. If you find that changes tremendously, you have to report carefully. Why is that? As I mentioned, all of the results, the analysis results are partially images, right? You probably do not know the whole thing behind you. It could be a larger network out there you couldn't comprehend, or you couldn't get the data point. And you probably will put yourself into a trouble, because when you review some facts, the authority will strike you down. So you have to be very, very careful when you find something that is really unfair to some parties. So you have to be very, very careful. So when the network structure gets changes, we also have to be reporting. And you report it carefully, and then to scrutinize each one of the factors, and then to see which factor is really playing a crucial role. How do you do that? Through software. Different angle, different perspectives of the analysis, and then to determine that is the factor. And when you say that is the reason, when you report it, you also have to say it gently. Why gently? People do not want to be punished. So if you find something unfair and you wanted to report it, you report it carefully and do not feel a harm to that authority, because they will feel you are kind of threatening them. Yeah, I know this is a little bit of politics, but when you talk about the social structure, I always find that something happening right now. Yeah. Okay, so there are a lot of different various factors. Maybe their relations among all of these people get changed. So you find the structure change. The friendship, that's always the topic that we like to talk, the friendship. It's changed over time. Is it a close friend? And then you get married or you divorce. Your family member, you have a lot of relatives. Like I have relatives in the north, in the middle, and in the south. Some often visit and some are not, seldom visit them. And so our relations get changed. The relations when you get married also get changed. You will make more people, you'll get more connections with others. But some factors, it's actually not because of the relationship change. It's because that person's personality or that person have a different decisions. They make different choices and they have a different characteristics. They decided to go to different careers and they decided to go to participate in different events. So all of these factors related to the knots that made the structure changed. So what will be the factors that will make the structure change? You have to figure out maybe one or two combination of the factor together. So the co-effect, not just single effect, co-effect made the situation worse or better. We don't know. But when the network structure gets changed, sometimes it's good, sometimes bad. When you see the changes, you have to report because that's interesting. And that's also the beauty of the network structure and why it's changed and how it gets changes through the time. And then using the animation to show that changing, shifting from one image to another. And you will find so fascinating. And you will believe that, did you find the truth? Is there the truth out there? I have to really review it and then to report it. So the structure change will give you a lot of things to tell. You have to tell a lot, right? You have to report a lot, especially the common knowledge. Very influential person, critical person, like the gatekeeper or the we will say that person is like the webmaster. If you are considered that as a website, then that person like the webmaster. He can control a lot of things. Well, you have to report this one, the structure gets changes through the software, through different kinds of the analysis, and tell you the same answer. When you receive the same answer, you'll finally know that the structure gate changes. Okay, and then there's also another term that you will see in the class. It's one mode network. So far, most of the analysis will down to the one mode network. One mode network is only looking at one kind of the relations. We are not considered about other kind of relations. So one structure will tell you one relation. And then to see how those nodes, they are linked to each other. Okay, just one mode. There are two modes network. We will integrate, or we will say aggregate. We will aggregate other kind of the factors into the network, and then to see how the structure changes over time. There's one example that has been presented in the textbooks. It's about a group of the people. They participate in different events. We will say the parties. They go into different parties. So different persons go to different party in different time frame. So you will analyze it. Those people, they attend to one party. That's one mode network. But you also want to know those people who attend the parties one after another for several times, different party in different time frame. Then you will go into the two mode network. Then you will find the common node, because you will find the people who are usually, if you go to the party, he or she will go to the party. You will see that person is very commonly similar to you in the party. Not necessarily everybody know each other, but you will find that persons, if you go to this kind of the party, and that person will definitely go to that party too. And the next time you try, if I go to that party, you will see the same people also go to that party. Then you will become a friend. That's interesting. You do not know each other in the party, but after a while, after your analysis in the two mode network, you will find, I find some friend that I could make friend of it, because that the person probably share the similar characteristic with me. She probably have a shared common interest with me. So I would like to reach that person. I mean, that's through the analysis, you know that they could become a friend. But at the beginning, in the party, if there are a lot of people, you do not know who will be your friend, right? You only bring your friend together. You will bring your neighbors together with you to the party. But I mean, this analysis will show you they could become a friend, maybe, eventually. So you will find a person who maybe share the same interest through the two mode network over the time. You will see that result, but only through the analysis. As long as when you see a lot of people in the network, you couldn't simply just detect or to catch which persons may share the same interests with you. You know, it takes time to figure that out, but the software will help you to find out. There's also the two mode network easily to be analyzed when we're looking at the historical data. 100 years ago, 100 years ago, what happened among those celebrities, among those lawyers working in the Supreme Court, or those students in the very conservative high schools. We would be able to trace back the history and then choose how their structure changed because of the power, because of the resources, because of the knots, a certain knots, their positions. They play some certain roles in a society. Well, yes, the persons playing a certain higher level of the role in the society will be able to see that how they are really influencing the society. But we will still find some persons, key persons, they are like a frontiers. Now trying to break something, trying to break some rule. They want to really see something different from the current status. So that kind of a person will also be important for us to figure out. Okay, so these 2 points will give you a lot of idea when you do the analysis for the network, really. So first of all, you have to find several nodes around you. You could start thinking, which network I would like to explore. And you will start to find what kind of relations or the links that you wanted to count. in your Facebook page, or in your Instagram, or in your maybe TikTok or your Line group, or maybe some of the social network that you're familiar with, or maybe just your email. You send email to someone sends back to you. Those emails links will become a links when you reply back, or when the people send it to you, you do not know that person's the company reach you, and you do not know that which company is looking for some of the job applicants. So I mean, these could be all of the events or all of the things that you could consider as a network, as long as you really wanted to do analysis for everything. One little thing is also fine. Okay, so start to think, and then you can start also talk with your friend and then or your classmates, and to see what kind of the network that you have the same interest, then you can start work together. Yeah, if you really wanted to find a group member, you could also ask me to assign you. For example, the other person also want to find another a group member, so you could go together. You two can meet with each other if you both request me to find a group member, for example. Right. Okay. I think I should give you a little bit of time to kind of agree with each other, so that you will be able to know each other better. Yeah. Okay, and then the next point, the last point for this slide, the level of analysis. You will see some of the terminologies here. You probably have known them all. It could be represent a person or individual or group or units, and it could be living, non-living, active agent or non-active agents. These are all counted on. And you know the group of the people, a set of the institutes, or a set of events. That could be a group. The dyad is, we also have to consider, the dyad means that in a pair, two people, we call the dyad. Three people, we call the triad. Okay. So two people, and how they are related, because two people can create a link. The link could be a directional without directions. Without direction means I talk to you, you talk to me. Directions, you see direction, but since that we have conversation, if we have conversation, that means this is a non-directional. There's only one line, right? These are all non-directional. Because when I see the line right there, I know there are some interaction among them. Back and forth conversation. But you may consider that actually we don't know whether they have any conversation. It's very, very thick conversation, a lot of conversation, or a few conversation. But the thing is, when we see this, first things we will assume there are back and forth conversation. So we call it non-directional. This very interesting thing is only the directional network. Only directional network we will find interesting, because that will make the network structure change. Let me see how it will change. Because it is we are not interested in a non-directional. We are not interested in a non-directional network. Means we are not interested if everybody back and forth converse each other. We are very interested into knowing directional. With the direction, we will see the structure will starting to move. You could see that it's all go out in this way, in this direction. So we could imagine probably over the time, maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes or 2 months, we don't know. But we will see eventually this structure will get, I mean, you could see that it's somehow that it will move to these directions. Or maybe they stay there, but this one will push up to the left, the upper left. So we will see that kind of direction. We will see that this is quite imbalanced. This network is not, it will moving. We will see that this network cycle will move after a while for a certain degree. So that's what we are really interested in, is we see directional or directed network. When you see directed network, because of the two people, only one talk to the other do not like to talk. Then we have to figure out what happened. to them. And if we have a group of 100 people, and by pairs we keep analyzing them, then we will know what's happening among this group. And we will see some of the phenomena in this community. Something wrong or something is going to the right direction or something else. So that is really fascinating. When we are analyzing the 2 people or 3 people through the software to do the analysis, and then the numbers show us, the numbers showed us pretty low number. The study showed us these 2 people by pairs or 3 people by 3 people, their connections is not so intensive. They don't really talk. If they talk, maybe just once, what happened? And what is the situation? Or maybe there's some competitions, especially when the competitions play a role in a company. You will make the people not to talk. You will make people only talk one way, but not back. They do not really give you the feedback because they just listen to the command and they will just do their work and they don't really want to get involved. So that's we are worried. But we are really wanted to look at the details for the directional network. The directional network is really fascinating. So the levels of analysis, the statistical software will give you the by pairs, by knot, by group, by triad. By knot, because we also do the ego analysis, and then by the dyad, they're also specifically analyzing for the pairs of the analysis. If you have a lot of pair statistics, you could also further analysis the group. And of course, if you have a triad, the results of the triad statistical results, you could also analyze the different levels of the analysis that will by group. Okay, now this is your decision, how you will start from doing the analysis. You want to start from the knot level, or you want to start from the dyad level? You want to start from a pair level, or you want to start from a group level? It depends on your decision. I usually start from the group because I want to see the whole picture. Usually, I will see the whole picture. These are all my notes, and they are linked in this way right now, at this moment, in my analysis. And I will tell you how they relate to each other, but I'm not giving you the final answer is that I will, through the analysis, I'll show you individually how they relate to each other, and then tell you the point I wanted to mention after the study. So, I mean, you have to decide whether that giving people an overall view of the picture in your analysis first will show a better understanding of the phenomena, or you think that I will start from one single case. So he starts from the very, very single case, just one person. He starts from that one person to do the analysis, and then start to link to other person and to see how this person become a beggar. The beggar, and then why this group people it affect that person, and then also analyzing the family, a different kind of the factors influence that the person leave the family, leave the group, the organization, leave the company, and they decided to be a beggar. So there's different levels of analysis that you have to make the decision. What will really interest the readers to see your result? Does that really matter to you or to other people? If you think that is interesting, like you can start from your parents or a single mother or a single father. You can start from them and then start to look at their relations and then to see how that influences you. You can also study the club, just one club as a group. You can start from there and then to see how the group member in the club that they are from different departments, from different university probably, and they have different ages, they have different genders, and they have different preferences, different hobbies, etc. So you can start from there. And maybe you could also find out that inside the group, there are different diets, there are different triads, and the triad get together, become a smaller group, then you will find that smaller group. You didn't expect that you will find a smaller group in a company, right? You didn't expect that, but somehow you find that. But don't forget, do not so concerned about these findings. This is only the partial findings that you could get. Okay. All right. Now that's looking at this. The macro level and the micro level. Usually we will start from the micro level. It's different from starting from the node level of the analysis. The micro levels tells you that we were really looking at the details. We do not concern about the whole picture, no. If you wanted to study a company, why they are making financial fraud, you probably will have to concern about all the economic status in that community or in that district, in that country. But that's really broad. No, we wanted to only consider specific settings, micro level. In the economic, we usually analyzing a household, how they are, how the mother, how they are, the father or the parents, they go to work, and then what is their salary rate, and also how they are, the life is their expenditure in their daily life, and then they will start to analyze all of these very, very detailed levels. So it's different from just start from one person. It's actually looking at the perspectives from the very, very trivial part in one company or one settings or in one event. So that we start from the micro level, okay? The micro level. But you can also only looking at the macro level to start analyzing the economic status of one place, one country, and then looking at how this country, their economic status compare with other country, their economic status, and also started to looking at how their real estate development, how they are changing the policies for the real estate, or how they're changing the insurance policies. All of these will say is a macro analysis. The macro level of analysis, of course, has some policies that you have to look at, you have to review, that how this policy affects the other things. So that is some economics or some mathematician or statistician, they will really want to look into it. But for us, we are researchers. If you wanted to do some of your little study, you could really looking at the micro level. You just need to take care of some of the things that you could control. And then, of course, the outcome will be only partial, but maybe you will find something very interesting and useful. You could, I will kind of encourage you to be patient when you are looking at those results, because these results are you found partially from the whole picture. And if you wanted to really say something and you find that it's unfair because it's unfair, and apparently you think it's unfair, or you think that's something that you have to speak out, then you have to really take it seriously. You may want to consult with some people that you think that they might stand in your side, okay? And then before you really want to make something changes to a macro level. From the micro levels of the analysis findings, if you want to do some revolutionary things, then for the macro level, you really have to talk with someone, consult with someone, and then to make sure that you are not making a mess. You are trying to help the whole society better. I don't know if you noticed that the Facebook no longer allow you to paste the link. And I realized that because of some of the places, governments that they decided, or the country that decided not providing any kind of support to Facebook. So the users are no longer to paste the links on the Facebook. That's good sign. That's a good. I mean, the links from the news, especially if the links from the news they no longer support. You could try to paste some news on the Facebook. As my experience is now they no longer support that kind of services because they wanted to kind of support Facebook, allowing their users to post the news. That probably is disinformation. This is not real facts. So they wanted to kind of block those kind of news, the links, especially from the news. So this is the macro level's influence. After that, they do the studies with teenagers, with young adults. We call the young adults, like you are young adults. You are adult, but you are still young. You are not mature enough. But then we're trying to do some policy changing, especially confronting with the large company, the Facebook. And so they do change the policy in a macro level. But your analysis always start from the micro level. That will be easier for you. And you can start from yourself, some persons, and then looking at the diet, try it, or some smaller group, and then larger group if you have time. This is really the way that you do the analysis. It takes time, and then you have to have some kind of a systematical approach to do all different kinds of the data collection, data cleaning, or data organization, everything. And then you repeat again. There are basically 3 levels of the analysis: diet level, node level, group, or network level. But there are also a triad level. The triad level, and also another term we call collectives. The collectives that I mentioned are on the slide already. The collectives is groups, a lot of different groups of the people. So we usually will start from one group instead of a lot of groups. So when you mention collectives, usually a lot of groups. But when you do the analysis, always start from one group, one network, one kind of relations. Okay. And then we could also looking at the individual level or collective level, means that a group of people, a lot of a group. So really wanted to looking at the types of the relations. There are 2 types of the relations. One we use in the States, and the other one we call the events. It's easy to understand the event because right now in our classroom, that's one kind of an event. If you go out for a lunch, that's another event. So we could easily understand the event. Events is in the process, right? So it will make the information flow. It's easy for us to understand the information flow because we experience that every moment, every day. Okay, so the relations node events help us to understand how the nodes or the collectives, they are interact with each other. So for example, I talk to the other person, 2 nodes, 1 link. That's we call the information flow from me to another person. So you could say it's interactions considered as an event. It's I talk to someone, or I sold something to other person, or I'm helping other people, or I trying to focusing on something and to participate in an experiment. So this we all call the event. So one type of the relations we call event. There's also another kind of the relation we call the states. So you can see that the status, we will consider that status as a similarities. And or we can consider about the roles that play or the cognition levels of the nodes. So here the similarities tells us that whether this person living in the same place with me or not, but don't forget the similarity, not necessarily the 2 nodes know each other. Maybe not. It's very likely that you have shared comments, but you do not know each other. So you do not have any interactions. But you only share some of the similarities. So you are attending the same events, attending the same club. This we call the relational space. Or maybe you're having the same gender, you're holding the same attitude towards something. And the relation roles, people having different roles in the society. I'm a teacher, I'm also a mother, I'm also someone's daughter, I'm also someone's nephew, I'm also someone's aunt. Right? So we all have different social role in the society. In the society, we have that kind of a role categories. I'm also a student. If I refer to my thesis advisor, previous thesis, my long time ago thesis advisor, so I could be a student. If I attend another training course in a workshop, I become a student as well. So, I mean, the relation role tells us that in a society, you always put in a role. But how this role relate with others, it really depends. Depends on how you really do the analysis. Now, the similarities will help you to understand how that your interactions with others. It's really hard to get. I like you very much. How much? How did you measure this kind of preferences, this likeness, or you love it, or you say, oh, I don't like it. How much? It's really hard. From the competition perspective, it's really, really hard to measure. How much you like? You're using the Facebook to collect your data. How many numbers of likes you get from the posts? You post something and then your friend have to click the likes. Maybe they not just click the likes, they click love or like hate. They click the button with the hate, or they click the like angry or something. So I mean, you can count a number, but necessarily represent that they know they're representing their emotion. Like we have a relative, and he always click like. I mean, I'm telling you a sad story. You click like. Let me see, and then he told me that. Oh, don't worry. I'm not saying that I like the sad story. I'm just telling you that I exist. I'm still there. I'm watching your posts. I'm there. I'm just telling you that I care about your posts and I care about you, not the stories. I say, okay. Can you imagine that the situation that, for example, Mary get married to John, and then so they say, so how much like you like John? And then Mary say, 1 to 5, 3. Then if the John say, how much you like Mary? John say, it's of course 5. So we get married. Then when we show the number to John, and then John will get angry about Mary's response. Because Mary said 3 is good enough. Mary said 3 is very fair number to our relation. Said, we get married, how come that you didn't give me 5? But you know, people are usually very harsh. They will consider 3 is good enough. Believe me or not, 3 is good enough. Are you sure that is you really is your judgmental? Right? Sometimes, how did you judge through the survey? How did you really know that 3 versus 5? 3 means that you do not like it, and then 5 refers to that you like it. Maybe 3 is really good enough, but 5 you will say is a super good. It's unusually happen to me or to you. I mean, this is really hard to detect your relational combination. So overall, that there are 2 types of the relation. That's you concerned about the relations, and there are different types of the relation. We can giving in some of the name. For example, friendship, the kinship. Kinship means that you are real blood family member, your sisters, blood sisters, your blood uncle. So you have that kind of a kinship. You have very, very close relations because of you are born in that family, so you have that relation. You have no choice because you're born in that place. Okay. The friendship, you can make up the friendship. You can make a lot of friends. You can from different events. You make friends with others. So this is the acquaintance process. How did you make connection with the others? That's the process. That's in the process through the interactions, and then from some media, from events, or from some tool, from the Facebook, from the Instagram, etc. So you make the information flow. Now, when we're looking at the flow, this part, we will see a lot of the different kinds of the terms that you may see that throughout the things. For example, some of the flow that is casually occurred, you just happening like this way, or they are just, integrated together and become that kind of a flow. And you could also analyze them in the different levels. And then you will also consider about different attributes of the knots. And you will also consider about the flow makes the interactions. So the flow matter because the information flow that we are very interested, directional network that we are interested to looking at. And then once that we see the interactions, we were looking at the social act. That's people how they relate each other. That the society comes out in this way, presented to you in this way, from your perspective, and you will see that the society has that kind of social act. And but don't forget that when we're looking at the social type, that necessary to become that people similar to you, you are knowing each other, not necessary. So similarity only knowing that you have the shared common interest, the shared attribute, but not necessarily know each other. So this is pretty important. Social type is not equal to similarity for any social role. You are a manager of that company. You are the manager of the B company. Both of you are the CEO of the company. You do not know each other, but you have a lot of similarities. Will you become a friend? Maybe not. But somehow, if you wanted to work with each other, you share the partnership with each other. It's very likely if we have someone introducing you both together in one event, and you know each other, and you know that, oh, we have so much similarity, we could become a friend, we can collaborate with each other. But when people interact, having the same interest usually have a lot of conflicts. So that's why we will say, oh, we usually find that our partners not like me. Oh, you have the concept, similarity, not necessarily the people they share the friendship. They probably do not know each other, and you also know that matters, the relations, all these different kinds of relations in the organization. This is in the organization, joint venture, alliances, agreement, distribution, agreements, shares, own shares, and also they are also considered as competitors. You have your friend as your competitor. Sometimes in the organizations, your friends are your competitor. Your competitors are your friend. But that's true. Okay, then you could also consider the connection between firm and also the connection between the members. Then interactions, we have mentioned about how you interact with each other in the firm or among the members. And these are all examples. So all of these terms for the direct relations that you have these different types. I think that you are familiar with those terms already, since I have mentioned in the slide, and also I have introducing you all of the detailed concepts. So I hope that you will understand. Now let's move to the purpose of doing the analysis. For the social good, or for the medical use, or other applications, this is really useful. But if your analysis outcome can really contribute to the society, I really wanted you to publish in the paper. We do have the paper that I mentioned to you about counting the confirmed cases of the COVID. And we do have, during that time, it's very difficult. We have this course, exactly the same course with like the similar number of the students, undergrads. And one student decided to do the research and then publish in the article, and it's already there. And I was very surprised after 2 years, more than 2 years of the effort. He collected data, do the analysis, and I further verify the analysis result and write up the paper. And now it's get published in an index paper journal, very good journal. So as an undergraduate student, he can do that. And he's now studying in a graduate school in New York. So I think that he's really a researcher, like a researcher. I didn't expect that he will become a researcher because I didn't encourage them to do that. But he found it interesting to collect those confirmed cases and using social network to do the analysis as a group project. It's actually a group project. And then so upon the permission from his group member, he can publish the paper on his own. But we also do the second wave of the analysis so that he could really say that this ideas belong to him. So his group members also, the name also placed in the acknowledgement sections. There's acknowledgement sections in the paper. He acknowledged each one of his group members to help him to collect the data in the very first beginning of the time, the first wave. But the second wave, he by himself collect the data and do the analysis, the initial analysis. So if you do find some interesting topic and you think that it could be really make a great contribution to the society, don't hesitate to do that research as your graduation research project. Even you are only just an undergrad. You have potential since that you find some interesting topic. I can help you. You can also ask other teachers to help you, but I can help you for sure if you really want to get published. Okay? And for the management consulting, usually that is also very, very useful for the management consulting to do the analysis, to see some of the pictures of their customers. And of course, basic research. That is for like this course settings, and also for other research, you just wanted to know what exactly that the things happening right now. The basic research usually wanted to explore or develop the theories. You wanted to explore, is that theory really telling me that? We have like a network theory. We have the network theory, we have balance theory, we have resource-based theory. All this theory tells us that the structure will get changed because of these theory. But is that true? I wanted to prove that. I wanted to develop that theory because now time is different. We are experiencing totally different changes global warming, and also the warfare. We have a lot of different things happening right now, and then we are also protecting ourselves wearing the mask. So I think that maybe some theories should be get changed or further developed into other theory, and we may find something different to using different statistical tools, develop some of the algorithms, and then to put into the machine learning model, and then to try to analyze the data in different ways. That's we call the basic research studies. We are also helping later on the researcher to do the application of study, the applied research. So we are all working on the social network, and then you are one part of that because you are now participating in this course, and then you know the concept and you know it's important, then you can play a role. You can play a role here. All right, so when we do the analysis, usually we have to looking at two major variables: independent, dependent. Independent is like the factors. What are the factors that will influence the outcome? So this could be like the factors, outcome. So you have to start to decide what will be the factor that will influence the structure of the network. And then I will expect the outcome will be like that. If not, then I have to report. You are looking at the influencer. The influencer may be an ego, or maybe ego's neighbors, by the way. Or maybe that's you, that's me. Not that ego, that's you. You are doing analysis. You become the influencer, and then you will report something that's very, very different from others' perspectives. These are different kinds of the analysis. Usually we'll start from centrality. You will say, why don't we start from the mean value? We could calculate the mean, the average. For example, we have about 20 students here, so the average is 20. Or we could also calculate the percentage, compare with the other class, and this probably is 20% of the population or the overall departmental students. So you will do this kind of, we call descriptive analysis, looking at the average, looking at the percentage, the maximum value, the minimum value, or the standard deviation, variation, etc. So that's what we call the descriptive analysis. But in the social network, the very first analysis that we wanted to conduct, centrality. Can you find the center here? Maybe not, maybe yes. The centrality through observations is not possible, but through analysis, through software, it's possible. You will always find very exciting findings that my thinking the central person is that person, but actually not. Through the analysis, centrality analysis will show you the answer. But not just one kind of the analysis. Don't do the analysis once. You have to utilize different analysis methods to determine the centrality and to finally decide who is that central person. Okay. So just do not use one. Usually we will at least 3 different kinds of a method to make sure that your finding is robust. You have to make sure it's robust. Pretty clear. The evidence is clear to you. Okay, and then we will also explain why does that happen. You will find the causal effect. What makes that things happen? The cause. The cause will be like the factors, right? You will do the factorial analysis, and you also would like to figure out that which factors will play a key role. So you will explain the situation. And the similarity again. You will also find something that interesting is that they are not in your network somewhere out there, and they are also having a similar network, like on the Earth or maybe on the Mars. We don't know. They are having a similar lifestyle or the conditions to living there. I mean, that is just an example, a metaphor. I mean, it's very likely that in our classroom, there's also another classrooms that are teaching the same class content, the same course content. They have the similar amount of the students, they have the similar background of the student or the background of the teacher, and they have the similar syllabus. The content are similar, but they are totally in different countries. That's what we call the similarities. The explanatory variable, I haven't provided you detailed explanation, but here regarding 3 different kinds of the things, 2 theory and 1 activity. The first one, arbitrage theory. This is really happening in the social network, especially if we have a very important person inside the network. and we wanted to use that resources. And how do we reach the resources? Rely on that important person. So the arbitrary trade theory tells us that we have to know why the social network structure changes, because people wanted to find resources, and they were trying to link as much as possible to other places through the nodes or through other links. And they were trying to connect to the link so that they can go to find that important person. Sometimes it's indirect. They indirectly get the resources, and sometimes they finally get a touch point, and then they finally reach that resources person, the person having a lot of resources. So that's what we call the arbitrage theory. And the other one is that because of the arbitraging theory, the person who is playing important role, he can play game with those participants. Because I have the resources, and you direct link to me, and you also direct link to me. Okay, now you go compete with each other and see who could really finally get the resources from me. So you will do the auctioning. You'll try to let them bid. You let them bid. So if I share information with you, so how many benefits I could get from you after that? So sometimes when two countries, they stop up the relationship, usually we will consider, that's an auctioning or arbitrage theory going on here. So the person playing important role in the network usually will play the auctioning game with the participant who directly link to them. They will see which one is more beneficial to them. If that person is more beneficial than the other, they will try to give resources first to the person who is really, really also playing a key role there in the network. That is unfair, right? But that's the reality usually play among the countries, and also among a lot of the different personal relationships. Okay, and the social resource theory always tells us that it's because of the unfairness in the society. It's already there in the world. The resources is not distributed equally in the country, in this world. So that's why the network becomes so structure changing so quickly over the time. Okay, so this three theory tells us that explanatory variables. It will help you to identify what variable, what factors will really make the structural changes. That we can help us also explain those factors. So explanatory variable, consider from the theory. You can start from the theory and then find your research topic. You can also start from your topic from your living casual things, from the daily life, and then to find the topic. But the researcher, if you are doing basic research, you will start from the theory and to find those different factors and trying to figure out what's happening to that structure. Okay, so that's the words, the sentences that's very clearly written by the author, not are shaped by their social environment. So we are shaped. We're already shaped. We have shaped to become a teacher, and you are shaped to be like sitting in this classroom and to take the courses. And we are shaped for some kind of format of the classroom settings, and you have to listen and sit here and listen to me talking. Actually, you don't need to sit there and talking, right? You can just, walk away and then just looking at the slide and then read on your own. You could also ask me to open up an online meeting for you to take the courses online, but this is not, the school is not allowing us to do so. So we have to kind of trapped in this classroom settings and to become like a classroom. We call this as a classroom, but actually no classrooms. We don't need to necessarily to put the tables or chair like that. The classroom could be in different formats, right? Okay, so we are all shaped. That is an outcome variable. If it's become an outcome, then it's become an antecedent. So, like for example, you decided to buy a car. That's the outcome. You buy a car. So you buy the car, that becomes an antecedent. It becomes like a factor. It becomes like the cause of the things for the next. So become a cause of thing for the next. That means there are a lot of opportunity there. A lot of different opportunity, or you will see some preferences that you could decide. You could go to very far places for fun and with your families or your friends, and you will see a lot of opportunity for you to drive to work, and you can drive to other places and to experience your life. So that becomes an incident for you to open other things and to find something. But some people, they also share the same thing with you. That's a different term, not just a similarity. It's a homophily. Homophily is an old term. We don't not using this term a lot. Homophily is like similarity. But we will see that because that outcome becomes your antecedents. That means that you probably have the chance to meet with those people. They might share the similar background with you, and you do not know each other in the beginning, and now you get a chance to know each other. Wow, that's maybe your network should get connected with the other network. This is another network. And because that becomes an outcome, and you know that your outcome is this is your outcome, it becomes an incident because you share the same network with each other. And since you share the same network with each other, so you have a chance to reach them. The mapping mechanisms will help you to determine that, wow, you get a chance to meet each other. You should have to talk with each other. You will have some similarities. So the other one is the balance theory, because that will tell us that if this is the outcome, what is the cause? And if that is the cause, and I analyzing that factors, and then I analyzing the factor and producing the same results, then that tells us that, okay, I find the truth. I do find some reality. I find something that really matters to my community. So the balance theory will help us to understand when you do the analysis always from the factor to the outcome. But when I go backward in the backward direction, I'm analyzing the outcome. I wanted to determine so what factors really affecting that and to causing them to become that problem or to having that positive effect. Not necessarily negative, by the way, positive effect. Then I have to go back to find that factor. When I find that the factors are actually the same, when I collect the data to looking at those factors the same, then I'm getting the right answer. So that's what we call the balance theory. The balance theory is usually trying to make sure that our analysis is really right, and also will tell us that so which party really makes influence or which party will be affected by the other party. Okay, so that is the balance theory, and then we treat the outcome variable as the antecedent. That you have learned a lot. I will just let you go.